Morning. Afternoon. Ready? How you going, alright? Alright, what do we got today?
So I'll do first a little bit live and then we'll switch to embargo tonight.
Afternoon, Eddie. Can I just first start off with obviously 27 players retained. I think sort of general niggles was the feeling in terms of the injury updates. Any update on Henry Slade and any other concerns for you?
Yeah, no, Slade's coming through well, but got a training run today. This afternoon's our main training run. We've got a few guys with a few niggles, so we've just kept a couple more in.
Henry in contention for selection?
We wouldn't be here if he wasn't.
Just in terms of what you need to get out of this game, you've spoken about the start, but what are the sort of areas, given the conditions are not going to be like they were at Murrayfield, we hope. What are the areas where you need to have control that would be crucial for you to have a victory?
Well, Six Nations is a contest competition. It's all about the contest at the set piece, all about the contest either in the air or on the ground or both. So there's no guessing out there. It's a pretty simple sort of game, the Six Nations. You've got to win that set piece, you've got to win the ground, and you've got to win the air.
If you break it down even more than that, break down how crucial area is that with sort of the Irish 6, 7, 8, very experienced?
Very well coached team. We respect their back row, so we're going to have to be good in that area.
Where do you see Ireland's strengths, the strengths that can hurt you the most?
Look, I think they're all-round well-coached side. They got good players. So we don't see any particular area that is stronger than one area is stronger than the other. We'll just take them on their merit, and we've got to play well.
Many a team, many a referee has tried to take on Johnny Sexton. What is the key to making maybe him having less influence in a game, whether it be kicking or whether it be general control, including the referee?
Well, he's just one of the 15 players, and we respect all their players.
Okay. Andy Farrell, you've worked with him previously at Saracens. What do you make of him then, and how do you see how he's developed over 14 years? Yeah,
well, he's got a good rugby brain, whether it be league or union. Thinks about the game well. Got a good demeanour about him. He's a strong character, strong will to win.
And in terms of how you know him as well, do you see any areas where I know you're not going to tell me, but any areas where you identified maybe a lack of experience, given he's one of a number of coaches in the Six Nations who are making their debuts?
No, not really. They'll be a well-coached team.
Just another one as well on sort of building up for games like this. How do you sort of keep the morale and the attention of the players sometimes away from the game? Ireland, for example, Bono has come in and seen them. Do you have people that regularly come in and give chats to the players, maybe motivation, but also maybe for that moment take their minds off rugby for 5-10 minutes?
We've done similar things, not with Bono. I think he supports another team. So, it's just part of the preparation for the week.
Well, what's the benefit of something like that, though?
It just brings a different voice, a different way of saying things. Most of the people that have been successful in the world do the same things, but they're able to express it in a different way.
Can I just ask Eddie as well, 2 away games right at the start. What's different, apart from the obvious going to Twickenham, what's different about the build-up to a home game? And I suppose the answer to the question is, what helps, but what also hinders as well? You've got the first game coming up at Twickenham.
Playing at home, you play in front of your fans, the reception's different, the whole atmosphere of the ground's different. The players feel uncomfortably comfortable at home, whereas when you play away, sometimes you feel uncomfortably uncomfortable, if that makes sense, which it probably doesn't.
It's a little bit. I suppose things like people asking you for tickets all the time and you'd rather be concentrating on rugby, things like that can be a bit of a hindrance on home games.
There's always distractions, and the good teams and the good players are able to minimise those distractions and get on with the job.
Yeah. And Eddie, just a final question from me, just a straight answer. This week you've changed things around, so I suppose the strategy of how you prepare for the game. You're doing all the media this week. How much do you really enjoy doing this?
We've just taken on a different strategy this week. You know, every game deserves a different strategy, and we believe this is the right strategy for this week.
And how can it affect things on the pitch?
Well, we don't know.
Thanks, Tom.
Eddie, Ben O'Barno has come back in this afternoon apparently. What's the feedback?
He's on the freight train, mate. Yeah, just again as a bit of cover. Yeah, as I said, we've got a few niggles, so we just need an extra prop in there.
Which loose head is he covering?
Well, both of them, Genge or Marla.
Eddie and Andy Farrell said that Bono was top of the list for them in terms of a celebrity they'd like to see in the camp. Which English celebrity or singer is top of your list?
Well, I'm not into celebrities, mate.
Who's your favourite English?
I'm not into celebrities, mate.
Just two from me, Eddie. I just wanted to check there's no other injury concerns you're looking at in comparison to yesterday, other than what you've already mentioned.
We've got a few, yeah. None that we're going to mention at the moment. We've got a few.
Okay. And just as a slight sidebar, it's been very pertinent in the media this week. I don't know if you have been following the death of Caroline Flack. There's been a lot of talk about the power of social media and how we all need to be nicer to each other. Now, in particular, I was wondering when it came to you looking after your England players and their mental health, what you are doing in that area to make sure they are well looked after and perhaps not so affected by everyone in this room.
That's a very interesting question. Obviously, read and listened to some stuff on the girl and feel sorry for her family and thoughts with the family. In terms of our players, we try to take a balanced approach. Obviously, social media is an important part of today's society. For some players, it's massively important. For other players, it's not important. So again, it's more of an individual way of looking after each player as well as we can.
And for you personally, you've talked before about your meditation. Are you still doing that, and how does it help you?
I don't think I've ever spoken about meditation. You must be thinking about someone else. Maybe another half Asian person.
I don't think so.
Maybe we all look the same.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Sorry, can I just ask about Ben Young's all things being equal here with his 98th cap, second most cap England player, could end the campaign as a centurion. What do you see in him that explains that longevity?
Desire to always want to get better. Yeah, I think he had a difficult 2015 World Cup. Rebounded really well. Means a lot to him to play for England. He's obviously got good core skills, but he's got a lot of pride playing for England. I don't think I've seen as passionate a player as him for England.
And evolution is sort of a buzzword at the moment around new coaches for some of the national teams, and some already talking about a World Cup cycle. For Ben Youngs, you talk about his longevity and his work ethic. Does he need to change, or are you happy with what you see?
Oh, I think he needs to keep improving, and like every other player in our squad, he needs to keep improving. And I think he understands that.
Okay, we'll switch to 10 p.m.
Sportsmen and sports coaches in camp quite often during the time, but have you had any during 6 Nations?
None that we want to share with you at the moment.
Yes.
Eddie, I think one of the messages Bono was talking about when he came into the camp was what it means to be Irish.
I'm not interested in talking about Bono.
But can I get your perspective on what Englishness means to this team?
Well, we're playing for England. The most important thing is that we play with pride and passion.
Is it something that needs to be sort of addressed every so often, or is it just a constant?
Well, it's a constant theme. You know, if you've got the honour of playing for your country, it's the greatest honour you can have, and we touch on that regularly.
Can you give an example of how you do that?
Not really.
Eddie, was there any surprises in the Ireland selection, or as it was as you would expect?
We didn't have a real perception of who they'd select. I'm sure Andy can do that job well enough by himself.
Does it change your thoughts in any way?
Not really, no.
Eddie, you said one of the keys to this game was winning the air.
Yep.
Could you talk how you see the battle in the air, because we know that's where Ireland are always very strong?
Well, there's a perception they're strong. And that's been cultivated through the years of players who've come through with a Gaelic football background. But we believe that we've got some pretty good armour in that area, and we're happy to take them on in the air if the conditions dictate it's an aerial contest.
When you say there's a perception they're strong, you're suggesting that they're not as strong as people would?
I'm not suggesting anything, mate.
Suggest something then.
I don't need to suggest anything because I'll allow you guys to suggest it.
There's a suggestion that your back three might not be so great in the air. But you think that's a misinterpretation, but given what you just said?
We're only worried about our team and what we think about our team, not what anyone else thinks about our team.
So what do you think about your team and its strengths?
Well, I just said that. I just said that we think we've got an advantage in that area.
Do you know what Elliot Daly's stats are for claiming high balls?
Do you?
No, but you do these stats. I don't have an army of stats people, so but you probably would too.
We're confident in Elliot handling anything.
Are Murray and Sexton as good as they used to be? Because there's been a lot of debate over there about particularly Murray's position.
Both very good players and we respect them greatly.
Not fading forces.
Not in our eyes.
Eddie, you mentioned Johnny May yesterday when you see him. Can you remember what your first impression was of him and when you first sort of laid eyes on him?
Very dedicated, serious rugby player that has done everything he can to be the best player he can be.
Because there is sometimes perception that he's the butt of a couple of jokes and his personality's slightly offbeat, but is that not in any way sort of translating to him as a rugby player?
Well, I think every player's got a character and every player's then got a way they go about their business. And we like to have characters in the team. He's one of the characters in the team, but I like the way he goes about his business.
Eddie, do you have to be mindful of their midfield selection at all? Like in the World Cup when you came up against Karevi, you changed things around potentially with that in mind. Would you look at the size of their midfield and will that come into your sort of selection thinking?
Not to a great extent.
Eddie, Andy Farrell was saying yesterday that he'd showed his squad clips of the August match, but probably was more, the Six Nations game last year was probably more, offering more information for them. Will you use those performances, clips of those performances, and is it a matter of replicating last February's sort of power and intensity?
So it's one of the great things about sport. Whatever you've done in the previous game, it doesn't count for the next game.
Eddie, just going back to Ben Youngs, can he go on for a while yet at this level? Do you have to factor that into your thinking, or are you literally just thinking about one game with someone like him?
Well, at the moment, all we're thinking about is the Six Nations.
But in terms of including someone who, once a player is into their 30s, do you have to think about the next World Cup, or are you?
Not at this stage, because all we're concentrating on is the Six Nations. But ultimately we will.
Okay, going back to my first point, has he still got a potential long future ahead of him playing for him, do you think?
Well, he's definitely got the Six Nations ahead of him. And that's like every other player in our squad. You know, they're playing for the Six Nations. That's all we need to worry about at this stage. And that's how our focus is.
Are you enjoying this Six Nations?
Loving it, mate.
As much as ever?
Even more so. Because I like all this heat around. I like when England's under pressure. We're at our best when we're under pressure.
You think we're under pressure?
Sorry? We're always under pressure, mate. Which is a great thing. And that's where we come to the fore.
You won the last game, so you still feel under pressure.
Well, if you just read the papers and read what you're writing in the papers, then there's a possibility we could be under pressure.
Are Ireland not under pressure?
Well, I'm not worried about Ireland.
Surely there's pressure always on all teams. Six Nations there's a pressure on it, isn't it?
True.
It's not.
But I was
English, it's not English.
I was asked whether I enjoy the Six Nations. I said I enjoy being under pressure.
Your players.
So we'll get back to the question.
Your players enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I think we're at our best when we're under pressure. Definitely.
Eddie, does it how does it change the situation when stories emerge that the RFU may or may not have been talking to other coaches for your job? Obviously referring to stories from South Africa that Rassie Erasmus that there was contact. I know that the RFU said there wasn't, but once it's out there, people are talking about it, your players are aware of it, you're aware of it. Is it unsettling?
No.
What do you do to tell them not to be unsettled?
Players don't worry about it, mate.
Well, they don't worry about who their boss is going to be.
They worry about who's in charge for this game, who picks them for this game. They worry about who's going to pick them for the next game. Players generally don't worry about the future too much because they've got enough to worry about in this game. And that's how we want our players to be. We don't want players who are worried about the future. We want players who are concentrating on the now and are preparing the best for the Ireland game. That's what our players are doing.
And is it unsettling for you personally?
Zero.
Why not?
Because why do I have to worry about something that may or may not happen?
Well, it's only natural to be worried about your future. We all in that position.
Well, you might, I don't. The only thing I'm worried about is the Ireland game.
Did you go to your bosses and ask, is this correct or not?
Owen, you didn't hear me, mate. I'm not concerned.
Have you had to reset your approach in any way since the World Cup? Sometimes when a team has had the same coach for a few years, sometimes you need a different approach.
Well, I think you're always resetting your approach. I think you're always doing that. You're always trying to find a fresh way of saying the same thing over and over again. But that's a constant thing. It doesn't matter whether you're 1 year in the job, 2 years in the job, 3 years in the job, 4 years in the job, 5 years in the job. You know, that's not the point. The point is how well you're coaching. And the feedback you get on your coaching is the game.
How well are you coaching?
Well, as I said, the feedback you get is from the game.
You couldn't learn anything from Murrayfield, could you?
Sorry?
Murrayfield was such a strange game.
No, it wasn't. It was a fantastic game of rugby. Fantastic game of rugby. Like, they were the conditions. We play a winter sport, and they were the conditions, and we had to play well in those conditions, and we did. So we learned a lot.
And you've still got the energy if the RFU want you to go through for 4 years?
Well, again, that's not something I need to worry about now.
Eddie, can I ask a quick question? The Farrell dynamic, Farrell's son. What sort of joking possibly has been going on within the squad around that? And for you, does it add an extra layer of intrigue?
Do you want me to be completely honest?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, we haven't spoken about it once.
Not at all?
No.
What about in your private moments? Do you think this could be a little bit of fun? This is something which you don't come across very often.
Well, it's just another opponent, mate. You know, at the end of the day, Andy's coaching Ireland. I want him to do well, but not well on Sunday. And that's the way I look at it.
It's a bit of fun, though, isn't it, having this?
Well, we've just concentrated on ourselves this week, as you can see. That's the only thing we've been worried about is ourselves, and we feel that's the best approach this week.
Okay, we'll leave it there. And just a reminder that the second part is 10 p.m. Embargo tonight. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.